I'm with Marcus and Ted, Mumford Sons.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Really good.
Formed in 2007. You're coming up on 20 years
Yeah.
as Mumford Sons. How does that feel?
Real.
Half of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real.
Yeah.
We're putting up some numbers now.
You all play like multiple instruments, right? What did you learn how to play first, and like how old were you? How did you start?
I was a guitarist originally, age about 9 or 10, and I persuaded my parents to get me. I really wanted an electric guitar. I'd seen Kurt Cobain on the television, and I was obsessed. And they wouldn't let me have an electric guitar. I had to have a nylon string for like 6 years. And then eventually I got a Yamaha Pacifica 112, which I believe was your...
It was my first
your
electric
first,
guitar as
yeah.
well, which was a few years after I started playing the drums. I started on drums.
Oh, you did? How did you guys decide the style that Mumford & Sons, is known for, became famous for, and now you're back with that with Rushmere? How did you decide to go that way when you were first starting out? Because you started with electric guitar, you saw Kurt Cobain on TV. What made you decide to do the style you guys did?
We were surrounded by musicians that inspired us at that time who had acoustic instruments, and we just loved it. Like, we were around just sort of by happenstance because we were friends with them. We were around in the rooms when Laura Marling first started playing, and Noah and the Whale. I remember I was playing in Laura's band. We were all session musicians, and that's how we kind of got to know each other. And Laura and I went to South by Southwest, and I saw Fleet Foxes play at a Jan Sport sponsored show in Austin on the 6th Street, strip, and was obsessed. And there was a lot of Canadian bands at that time. Feist, we were obsessed with Feist and Metric and Broken Social Scene and Arcade Fire. These bands that were using acoustic instruments, but in like rock and roll kind of ways. And in the 2006-07 in London, we were around all these songwriters that would show up at these little bars, and we'd go and listen. Most of them were unplugged, and it was kind of like the cafe scene, and we loved it. And it was at the same time that like Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out, and culturally that was really important for me personally. I became obsessed with Alison Krauss and Gillian Welch, and that was my introduction really into bluegrass. And then I lived in Denver for a while, and the guy I was living with introduced me to Flatt and Scruggs and that picking style, and then I kind of got deeper into the country bluegrass world, and it was just osmosis, I think.
Mumford & Sons played Massey Hall, Toronto, the tour before the tour. You go from a place like Massey Hall, capacity is less than 3,000 people. And then, later this year, you'll be playing stadiums with like 20,000 people, or festivals like you're at Rock the Park in London, Ontario a couple of years ago, Glastonbury. Like, how does it change as an artist when you're on stage being in a small venue compared to those massive stages?
I think there are elements of both that we really enjoy. I think last night, getting to sing, unamplified into a room is always a really sort of amazing moment that you can't necessarily do in a bigger room. And certainly starting out, we never really imagined that our music would kind of fill a space as big as an arena or something like that. And actually our first ever arena was here in Toronto.
Air Canada Centre.
Air Canada Centre. And we kind of resisted it. We were like, I don't know how it's going to feel, not sure if it'll work, it's not going to be intimate, sound's not great in arenas often, whatever. And we came off stage, I'll never forget it was just like all our minds were blown. We were just like, well, that was great. We loved it. And there are so many elements of the way we've evolved through pubs into clubs and onwards, there's so many elements of our music that do translate in those spaces. I mean, it's just a real privilege, really, just to do it. Like, it's not lost on us how lucky we are to play to so many people and for them to sing our songs back to us. It's a joyful thing.
We had a quick ascent, like our band got big fast, and Canada was a big part of that.
Yeah.
But we didn't skip any rungs on the ladder in terms of touring.
Yeah.
We did the cafes, then we did the bars and the pubs, then we did the clubs, then we did the theatres, then we got into the bigger academy spaces, then we did our first arenas, then we did our first stadiums, and I think our first stadium might have been in Canada as well. We played in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So we haven't skipped any of the rungs, and we remember all those rungs with love and joy. So when we get the opportunity every now and then to go into a smaller room and play those rooms again, we just had so much love for that period of time where we were able to do that. And
Yeah.
where at that time, it was the biggest show we played in the Palladium in Los Angeles last week. And I remember that when we were on our way up, that being our biggest show we'd ever played, and like this huge headline moment in LA. And then on this tour, it feels like it's an underplay, which is just mind blowing and kind of exciting to us to get to go back and experience those rooms again. You know, Massey Hall's like one of the greatest rooms on the planet in my mind. So it was an opportunity we couldn't pass up, I think.
Let's talk about the new music, Rushmere. What is Rushmere, by the way?
Rushmere is a place where we kind of all met, basically.
Okay. So 5th studio album, first in 7 years, and first album as a trio. How has that been? Have you had to adjust on stage when you're playing live?
I mean, it's been more like we've had to adjust to decision making in songwriting and in like the way we do things as a band. So with 3, it's like every opinion really, and we're a democracy, so every opinion really matters. You can hide in a 4, you can't really hide in a 3. So it's been, I think, really good for us because we all know what each other thinks a bit better, and we're having to articulate that more. And I think there's been a distillation in the songwriting process that's been like more intensified because we all like have to justify ideas to each other. Like we're more accountable, I think, being a 3. And then on tour, it's felt amazing. We have some extraordinary musicians out with us, and our band has always been collaborative live. We've always had extra people jumping up. You know, we might be the core of the songwriting and the recording process, but when it comes to live, we've always collaborated with people. So we're just getting to collaborate with these extraordinary horn players at the moment, Laura, Kyle, and Darius. And Andrew Barr on the drums, who actually plays with Feist a lot, and lives in Montreal. And then Matt Menifee on the banjo, who's like one of the greatest banjo players, I think, of all time. And I think sound-wise, we're in a good spot live. We're really enjoying it.
Longest gap between albums. Is there? You have a bunch of songs. When do you know? Okay, we're ready to go into the studio, and these songs are going to make the album. Does that just sort of click?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really encouraging the first time we got back together. When was it? Summer 23. January 23.
Felt like summer because we were in Los Angeles.
There you go. And we had all, you know, obviously, as time passes, we all sort of have ideas, and we all had, you know, things to present each other musically. And very quickly, it became apparent that we were excited about the same stuff, and we were going to be, you know, treading a path towards a record quite quickly. And the songs kept coming, even when we started officially recording with Dave Cobb. More and more songs. In fact, probably half of the songs on Rushmere kind of emerged during the recording process. There was a really prolific moment in the final sort of main session we did at his house in Savannah, Georgia. We just arrived there. We'd been working in his amazing RCA studio in Nashville, and we'd done sessions in Devon at Marcus's place. That had all been fruitful, but something just happened when we got to Savannah. It was so relaxed, and we just sort of got our instruments out of their cases and just wrote, like, you know, Blood on the Page and a bit of Carry On, and a few of the other songs really kind of, you know, galvanized and came together, you know, in this environment that Dave Cobb had so intentionally kind of curated, you know. So we talk about this record being made in a domestic setting for the larger part, which is you know, it's true. It's really kind of, it was a cozy experience. It wasn't one that was pressurized or you know, made in big cities. You know, it was sort of just a really friendship-driven effort, if that makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Canadians are looking for some alternate places to travel to these days. You guys, are from the UK. When you go on vacation, where do you go? Where are the hot spots in the world?
Greenland, Mexico, Canada.
Do you ever get to go out when you're touring and like see the cities, or are you just
man?
out?
We just did a little run in Europe, and we were walking like 20,000 steps a day in Paris and Berlin and Amsterdam. We love going out and seeing where we're at. You know, I walked around Toronto last night, had a great time.
Did you?
Yeah, I like feeling connected to the place that you're in, like getting your feet on the ground. You know, but holiday-wise, I haven't got many holidays booked.
Secret
this year.
spots?
No, we just haven't got any booked. We're working.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in England normally.
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, because we travel so much with work. We get home, the idea of vacation, I don't want to get on an airplane.
Yeah.
So I tend to go on holiday in the UK.
Yeah.
We love it when Canadians come to see us as well.
Yes, of course.
We love it.
Toured the world. You've done things like Letterman, SNL, the festivals. What's next for Mumford & Sons? What's on your to-do list?
We like to keep things interesting. We've always taken touring really seriously, and as Marcus alluded to just then, it's like we like the connectivity of, we're very lucky that we get to travel the world, and we like meeting people, and we like exploring places. So the more we can kind of get our hands dirty in the place, the better. So historically, we've done these things called Gentlemen of the Road stopovers. We did one in Simcoe in Canada, which was just one of our favorites. It was amazing. So those sorts of things, if we can punctuate our touring, we love playing arenas. We've loved this tour before the tour, but wherever we can, we'll try and punctuate our touring lives with some sort of novelty. We certainly have, I don't know how much we can talk about various modes of transport, but we've historically done like a train tour, and we've been on barge boats and all sorts of stuff like that. So this year, we're trying to line up some more fun things to do.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys chatting with me today. Mumford & Sons, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
very
Cheers.
much.